welcome to those of you joining us on YouTube. And today's theme is stability. I have to say before I formally begin here that it's nice to see lots of faces in the crowd and that it's not snowing today. So yay! Stability can be defined as a situation in which something is not likely to move or change. In one of our readings today, we heard about the difference between a house built on rock and a house built on sand. The house built on sand has nothing to support it. The house built on rock is placed on a solid foundation, bringing stability that leads to protection against destruction of the house from the storms of life. That is a good analogy that we can picture when thinking about stability. The rock is the stable thing on which the house stands. Stable things can be people, places, or things, and can be emotional, physical, or spiritual in nature. We're covering all the bases. Besides having resistance to change, stable things have constancy of character or purpose and are known for reliability and dependability. One can even subscribe to a stability space for just $19 a month. I came across this ad that promises, and I quote, "a private supportive space to stabilize your money, relationships, and mental load. This membership is for overwhelmed adults who don't need motivation. They need clarity, calm, and a safe place to reset," unquote. Clarity, calm, and a safe place to reset. Who doesn't want that in a world of overwhelm and overstimulation? The ad continues, "This is for you if life feels overwhelming. You want structure without intensity. You value calm, progress, and support without being fixed." And it ends with this statement. Stability isn't forced. It's created by making space. I mean, it's not wrong. Making space is a necessary concept that doesn't get enough airplay. Making space does create stability. Anyone who comes here for treatment has made space to gain more stability because life had become unstable, unmanageable, yes? The other day, I shared a meme on Facebook from entrepreneur, investor, and author Scott D. Clary. I don't know this guy, but I like what he had to say, which was this. Build margin into everything. Your calendar, your budget, your energy. The difference between stressed and calm isn't necessarily more resources, it's more space. Operate at 85% capacity, and you'll have room to breathe when life happens, because it will. That really resonated with me. And here's his longer version. The most successful people I know are never at 100% capacity. That sounds wrong. We've been taught that optimization means maxing out, full calendar, every dollar allocated, every hour scheduled. But running on 100% means zero room for error. One unexpected expense breaks the budget. One sick day collapses the week. One difficult conversation emotionally taps us out. That's not productivity, that's fragility. The people who stay calm when things go sideways aren't calmer by nature necessarily. They just built in slack into the system. Like 15 minutes between meetings instead of back to back. Money in the account that isn't earmarked for anything. Energy reserved for the things you can't predict. Operating at 85% feels like leaving something on the table, but it's actually the opposite. Wait for it. It's making room for reality. When we make room for reality, it creates space and in turn allows for stability. Like, I don't know about your life, but in mine, things take always so much longer than I planned. So much longer. Things break. People suddenly need me. In life, it really is helpful to expect the unexpected, but that's a bit abstract sometimes. And I have so many plans. So many plans. When talking about my calendar, I have learned just because I can physically do something doesn't mean that I should. I can physically schedule 4 meetings in a row. Should I do that? No, I should not. Because you know what? That mental load is going to be rough. So there's a lot to be said for space, white space on our calendars. If I had time to use the bathroom and grab a snack and mentally shift gears in between tasks, I'm going to be a lot less stressed. I'm going to have a lot more stability in that time of transition. And transitions can be tough. I know they are for me. Maybe they are for you too. So building that 15-minute buffer is offering myself the gift of stability in the moment, because when we are stressed and rushing around, we feel unstable in our bodies and in our minds. You know, when I meet with someone, I like to take a few minutes for us just to breathe and be still, just to allow our souls to catch up with our bodies, as it were. Because our bodies always seem to be running from thing to thing. Speaking of souls, if we think about stability in a larger scope, the question might be, what is our life built on? Like the house from our reading is a house built on solid rock or sand. Sand that causes our house to sink and shift and be unsteady. So what is our foundation? What is providing the strength and support required for us to continue to be whole and fruitful? Now, we can't make ourselves the foundation. We're doing too much. We don't have the wisdom or the strength required to act as our own foundation. That's why we need a higher power. So let's recall the definition of stability. Those things or persons having resistance to change, constancy of character, reliability, and dependability. That really describes higher power. So let's start with resistance to change. Often we look at resistance to change as a negative thing, but in this case, we don't want our foundation, our source of stability and strength to change. We want it to be constant and strong and unchanging from day to day, week to week, year to year. We can depend on our foundation, our rock, to hold us, support us, and provide what is needed. Our higher power is reliable and dependable, unchanging no matter what is happening in our world or in our lives. Our higher power will never reject us or stop loving us. We don't have to worry about higher power getting tempted by something that will cause the support and strength to waver. That's not going to happen. We don't need to concern ourselves with higher power strength giving out or higher power giving up on us. Not possible. Higher power is not fickle or petty or disappointed or bored when it comes to our relationship. Higher power is the stability in our lives because of the dependability and reliability that's there in a way that literally no human can do. And it's not because humans aren't trying. It's just that they're human. That includes us. Higher power doesn't get tired or make mistakes. We can count on higher power for anything and everything. Does this mean that our lives are perfect and without suffering or pain or tragedy? No. No one escapes those realities of this life. But our higher power walks with us each step of the way, whether we are laughing or weeping, whether we are soaring or crashing. Higher power is for us, serving as our loving stability, that unchanging, reliable, dependable foundation in every moment, whether we acknowledge it or not. And if we do choose to acknowledge that our higher power is by our side, it can be a real source of comfort to know that something bigger than us cares about the smallest details of our lives and loves us more than we could ever comprehend. That's stability. Constancy, showing up every time, that's stability. We may try to build our lives on other things, even important and good things, like family and friends. And it is absolutely essential to ensure that we are connected to others. As loving and supportive as they are human and will disappoint us and fail us at some point. It's okay to admit and understand this. In fact, it helps us to put things in perspective. They are not perfect or infallible. They are human, just like us. Our higher power absolutely uses family and friends to demonstrate love and support in our lives. If we go back to the house analogy, we can think of friends and family like the support beams and poles inside our house. But we can't expect them to bring stability, the stability necessary to be the actual foundation. That's not fair. That's too much pressure for a human being. Each person might be a support beam in a certain room, but the foundation is a much bigger job for our higher power. When we choose to build our life on the rock of our higher power, we can rest assured that our higher power will not fail us or disappoint us or leave us. Sure, we may not understand some things, but higher power always has our best in mind, always has the world's best in mind. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make sense to us. But that's the essential beauty of it, though. I'm not God. God's thoughts are higher than mine. Sometimes I like to remind myself when I get all high and mighty that God is God and I am not. I don't get to know everything, and that's all right. I trust my higher power to handle it because I certainly can't. In step 3, I made a decision to turn my life and will over to the care of God as I understand God. That doesn't mean I will like and agree with and understand everything that happens to me or around me. That's just part of the deal of switching from reliance on myself for stability and reliance on my higher power for stability. It's scary. And actually quite liberating to hand it over and let higher power work without getting in my own way. And that decision needs to be made each and every day. It's not a one and done. I have to keep making it. So let's wrap up with what that ad said. Stability isn't forced. It's created by making space. We can do our part in increasing the stability in our everyday life, regulating our mood and stress level by building in some margin to all things. We can also create space in our lives for a relationship with and dependence on a higher power for life's ultimate stability. We can feel safe and comforted that our life is taken care of because of that solid foundation on which our life rests. So let's take a few moments of silent reflection now. And in this time, I invite you to think about something that stood out to you about stability. Maybe it brought up questions or resonated with you or made you bristle. And I also invite you to journal about this topic this week and see what comes up. So let's take these next few moments to reflect. Amen.